How do vacation, overtime, and statutory holiday rules differ? US companies are often surprised to learn that their standard HR policies do not automatically fit Canadian law. Vacation, overtime, and statutory holiday rules are not just internal policy decisions. They are minimum standards set by each province. You can be more generous than those standards, but you cannot go below them, even if your employment contract says otherwise. To make sense of the differences, it helps to separate what you are used to in the United States from what Canadian law expects. In Canada, employment standards legislation in each province sets baseline rules for time off, pay rates, and public holidays. Your policies have to be built on top of that legal floor. Vacation entitlements are a legal minimum, not just a perk. In many US workplaces, vacation time is treated as a matter of company policy. In Canada, employees are legally entitled to a minimum level of vacation and vacation pay once they complete a certain period of service. That entitlement grows with years of service in many provinces. You can certainly offer more vacation than the minimum, but you cannot offer less and call it a competitive package. Even if an employee signs a contract that seems to agree to less, that contract will not override the statute. Foreign employers need to know that vacation is not simply a negotiation point, it is partly a legal obligation. In addition to time off, vacation pay has its own rules. Employees are entitled to receive a minimum percentage of their earnings as vacation pay, either when they take time off or according to an agreed schedule that still respects the law. Some employers build vacation pay into each paycheck, while others pay it out when vacation is taken, but either way, the math has to meet the statutory minimum. Overtime rules are structured and often stricter. Overtime in Canada is governed by provincial standards that set thresholds for when overtime pay kicks in. Those thresholds are usually based on hours worked per day, per week, or both. When an employee works beyond those limits, they are generally entitled to overtime pay at a higher rate, commonly 1.5 times their regular wage. Certain roles are exempt, but many are not. This is a shift for US employers who are used to broader exempt categories or more flexible overtime practices. In Canada, simply putting salaried in a contract does not automatically remove someone from overtime eligibility. Job duties, industry, and specific statutory exemptions matter far more than how you label the position. Misunderstanding this can lead to claims for unpaid overtime stretching back over multiple years. For foreign employers, the safest approach is to classify roles carefully under provincial overtime rules, set schedules that respect those thresholds, and track hours worked even for employees you believe are exempt. That way, if your interpretation is challenged, you have data to work with. Statutory holidays are not just extra vacation days. Statutory holidays, often called public holidays, are specific days when employees are entitled to a day off with holiday pay or premium pay if they work. Each province has its own list of statutory holidays and its own rules about eligibility and pay calculations. That means what counts as a statutory holiday in one province may not in another. You cannot simply use a US calendar of public holidays and assume it aligns with Canada. Canadian employees will expect to observe their province's statutory holidays and to receive the correct pay treatment. If they are required to work on those days, they may be entitled to premium pay and an alternate day off, depending on local rules. For a US employer, this often means adjusting your internal holiday calendar or at least layering provincial statutory holidays on top of your existing list. Why one national policy does not work? Because vacation, overtime, and statutory holiday rules all vary by province, a single national policy written around US assumptions is almost guaranteed to miss something. A policy that meets the minimum in one province might fall short in another. On the other hand, you can simplify your life by adopting a single standard that meets or exceeds the strictest relevant provincial rules for your workforce. That approach trades some extra generosity for reduced complexity. Instead of juggling different rules for each small group, you give everyone a consistent baseline that you know clears the legal bar everywhere you operate. Many foreign employers eventually adopt that strategy once they understand the variance. Contract drafting and local adaptation. Employment contracts and employee handbooks should reflect these realities. Vague references to paid time off without specifying how vacation is earned, how vacation pay is calculated, how overtime is handled, and which holidays are recognized can cause problems later. So can references to US concepts like at-will employment, which do not translate cleanly into Canadian law. A better approach is to adapt contracts and policies with local input. Spell out vacation entitlements and pay in a way that respects provincial standards. Describe overtime rules clearly, including who is eligible and how approvals work. List statutory holidays by name and clarify how work on those days will be compensated. That level of detail protects both you and your employees. Final thoughts. Vacation, overtime, and statutory holiday rules in Canada are not just HR preferences, they are legal minimums set by each province. US employers cannot simply copy and paste their home country policies and expect them to fit. You need to understand the basic structure of Canadian standards, decide whether to tailor policies province by province or adopt a higher uniform standard, and reflect those choices clearly in contracts and handbooks. If you want simple, practical explanations of Canadian employment standards that you can use to fine-tune your policies, you can explore more resources at www.theaccountingandtax.com. If you require assistance with Canadian tax matters, our team is ready to provide reliable professional support. Please contact us at 416-283-8774 or visit theaccountingandtax.com for more information. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.